The item itself, so we have an inventory system that can hold items. The item is saying that if you want it to be picked up and usable, then you can use the item system. So as a for instance, if you want to say that an item is a heart or there's also, just a real quick point out on this, there is a pickup item, you have a item pickup, and this relates more to like saying that you're wanting to use it for coins, hearts, health, and all those things. However, at the same time, you can use a standard object and give it the same type of properties. If you enable this as an item, you're saying that it can be picked up. However, remember, I'm just going to point this out here, is that in order to pick it up, you want to make sure that you have the trigger settings enabled, and then you set up however you want the item to be picked up in terms of the values it's going to check against. But if you have the item and you're actually working on making an item enabled, you're setting it to here. You have a cost, so how much does it cost to carry the item? It'll relate to how much on the inventory, how much they can actually carry. So for instance here it's saying the limit for an inventory item would be 5, which means it can only pick up 5 items if each one costed 1. For the item types, you have an item type which is going to be usable, wearable, consumable, and carryable. That means that usable means you can actually use it, meaning that it's if it was the jetpack, if it was a grappling hook, a weapon, you're saying that you want to be able to use it. The other options, consumable currently, is how the pickup items are set. So for instance, if you are picking up a heart, if you're picking up a coin, by default they're actually consumable. When we open up the system to the full inventory system, then you'll be able to say that yes, you could consume it, but not immediately. At the moment, it's going to be consumable immediately. You have a wearable types, and then carryable. So those three will eventually become available in terms of the full scope. So if you use those and you don't get the effect that you're thinking it's supposed to be, it's just because it's not implemented yet. The item pickup state, this is going to be saying that when you pick the item up, do you want it to go immediately to the player picking it up and holding it to be able to use, or do you want it to just go into the inventory so that you can cycle to it when you want to use it? And then on the on hurt drop item, this is anytime your player or object gets hurt, what you can do is actually say, think like a Sonic. If the player gets hurt, you can say drop what you currently have as an item. If you drop it, you can say how does this item right here drop? Well, you can say that it on hurt, you drop the item, yes or no, and or you can say only drop items that are currently being used, items that you're wearing, or everything. When an item drops, you have the option to say, do you want to destroy the item on drop? So if you want to destroy this item, if it gets dropped out based on a hurt, the same options are also available on die. So if the player dies, do you want this item to actually be dropped? You can say only if it's being used it drops, if they're wearing it, all of it. Same type of setup for it. And then of course the same way is that you can drop the item, you can destroy it. And then also you have an option to say enable item lock direction. This is going to be saying that if you have an item and you pick it up, you may want to only have it available if you're doing, for instance, the 8 directional. You may only want it to be above the player when they walk around. Well, you can say enable item lock direction, and you can lock and say which direction is it going to be locked to. And then after that, you have one other feature on this one. It's kind of a long list here, but on the other feature here, you have the show item. There are 3 typical states to the items that can be shown. It is either combined with the holder, meaning that the holder now becomes part of the animation. And when we get into character animation, this part will make a lot more sense. You're animating the actual image is both. It's a single image that renders both. You have a separative holder, meaning that it doesn't have to, both of them are actually 2 different images being rendered on top of each other. And then you have a hide on pickup, which is saying that once you pick it up, it's still active, but you're not actually rendering another image with it.